Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, good morning. We are live. You should see a chart of US dollar CAD there. We'll come back to that in a little bit. We're going to go and have a little rundown of the indices like we do midweek, see where things are, see what's happening. So as per usual, we'll start with the S&P. So when we last spoke, you can see here going into last week, we'd had a move that was getting close to those previous all-time highs. You can see them there. Now, that line that you can see there isn't really a resistance. It's just marking the previous all-time highs. So you can see there where we'd broken on the futures the previous all-time highs from early in the year. We took those out. And as you can see, price has really not done a lot since that point. The range for each daily bar is quite small. We're a little bit bigger on Monday, but you can see at the moment, this high that we got here, we've come back, we're pulling back towards the 50 and the 21 moving average. So for me, I'm keeping an eye out to see what price does here. We are looking for price to get back up and do a retest of these highs, because that could then give us some opportunities for short trades up there. In terms of anything around this area trade-wise, not a lot going on there. This is what we would call a no man's land area, this area where we're just crisscrossing the 21 and the 50. You can see both moving averages are very tight. We're not clearly moving up or down here. And really for any significant momentum long, we would have to take the old highs out, give us a nice decent new high and pull back there. So the S&P at the moment, not really showing us anything there. NASDAQ wise, very similar thing. We're above that 50 and the 21. So the NASDAQ and the S&P look very similar. Dow Jones, if we go and have a quick look at the Dow Jones. Now, there's that previous high. Now, remember, the slight difference with the Dow Jones is the all-time highs were not broken, weren't even retested back in September here on the futures. They were close, but you can see similar price formation. So these three major indices, there is a slight difference with these highs on the Dow, but in terms of how they're behaving over the last week or so, we had this interim high, and you can see here that we are still above the 50 and the 21, but not making a move back up for a retest of the highs there or the all-time highs on the NASDAQ and the S&P. So again, not really giving us anything clear at the moment. DAX, you can see here, has been sideways all summer, hasn't come out of that. We had obviously the move down as a result of COVID, the retracement back up, almost got up to the previous highs, but you can see here, look, lower highs, higher lows. So the range here on the Dow, the range on the DAX, sorry, is just very, very indecisive. The move, there's no real momentum. We're not seeing a lot occur here. So not a lot happening. As you can see, lower highs, higher lows. It's just getting closer and closer together here. So again, not really giving us an indication. I would want the DAX to be up and retesting its previous all-time highs for a short. And that would be a short reversal, so an against the trend play. For any sort of other trade, I would want to be below the lows that you can see here. So that would be the key thing for me, that I would want to be below the lows that you can see here. So the lows of July and the lows of September, I'd want to be clearly below those before I would look for any kind of momentum-based short over the short to medium term. So again, indices not really showing a lot, but there has been a bit of movement on other currencies. I'm going to come to oil first. We are in our long trade, our first trade of the month, our beat the bank strategy. We had the short trade stop us out this month. So we're sitting about, I think, about 28% for the year. We've got our long trade in for October's trade, but as you can see, oil's really not doing a great deal here. If I just zoom in, you can see again, very tight, bars very small, so it's not doing a lot at the moment. But I think if we were to take, you can see here, yesterday's highs out on these future charts, yesterday's highs, it could, and I repeat, could give us a move back up to this area here, which was the highs over August. So we could, if we take yesterday out, there's a bit of room there to get us back up to there. That would give us a long win, but we'll just wait and see on that. Gold and silver, we'll have a quick look at those before we go to the currencies. So just looking at the daily chart here, silver has made a little bit of recovery, but you can see still underneath its daily 50. If I go to the weekly chart, You can see there a little bit of a recovery after the move down to the weekly 21. I would be looking for a move at least halfway. If we can get halfway, then I would be more inclined, really around the 61.8 mark, so a little bit more than halfway, then I would be more inclined for a retest on silver. See that with gold. Gold just hovering around. If I go up and I go up to the monthly chart rather than the weekly, just hovering around its previous all-time highs around that, what we got there, 1918. So yeah, $1,900 an ounce around that area there. So again, if we were to get a positive close on the monthly here, we've come up, closed above, had a bit of indecision, come back down. If we got a positive close on the monthly, pushed up a little bit, see the weekly, got past this area here, then I'd look for a retest up there. So again, we'll wait and see. That might be triggered by a move down in the indices, but you don't always see gold and silver immediately react up if the indices go down. All right, so that's what's going on there. Let's go and have a look at Euro US dollar. So had a trade on this one, was stopped out. We had a short trade on here as per one of our swing strategies. We've just been stopped out yesterday. But again, not worried about that. For me, what I want to see is what happens now. If we push on from here, then I'll be happy about that losing trade. Obviously, you would rather not have a losing trade, but I've spoken about this before. The worst thing you can have when you have a losing trade is you're nicked out of your trade, and then eventually price ends up going the way that you would want it to go. So essentially, that's what you don't want price to do. So if it's going to lose, you want it to lose properly. In terms of analysis here, for me, there would be an adjustment in the trend line if we got this high, take out these previous highs just here. So there'd be an adjustment in the trend line, but at the moment we're just heading sideways. We had the trend line break. We're moving very sideways here. So if we can get up to these levels here, create a new high, then we'd readjust the trend line. For any kind of short trade now, I would need to see price break the lows of September. So again, sat in this middle zone, you can see there. A couple of trading opportunities. We'll come to trades we're in. A couple of trading opportunities for us would be a retest of this support zone that you can see here on US dollar, Canadian dollar. A lot of our guys had a nice trade when we tested it here in September. Had a nice reversal trade here based on the area. Now, if I go up to the the weekly chart, you'll see here we had a zone that was based on the lows of 2019 and the lows of 2019, yeah, and then you can see there previous support from earlier in the year. So the guys had a nice reversal trade there. We would have a retest opportunity and another reversal if price was to get down here. Now, we don't simply trade because price hits the support area. We then look for a specific set of criteria, but that would be the first thing that we would be looking for in that scenario. We'd be looking for a retest of these lows, but as yet that hasn't happened. You can see that the price movement is relatively small at the moment. I'll just see if I can get my pen up so we can actually draw that on so you can actually see it all happening. So for me, what I would be looking for, see if we can get this to work. Yep, there we go. I'll be looking for price to get down, retest this low. Now it may only retest this low. It may want to go lower and retest this low. And then once that element of the process is done and we've come back into the support, then I would look for a specific set of criteria at that support that we've tested and we know has an edge. It's a 3-to-1 reversal trade. We had it set up there and we had the move in there, so I'd look for a move there as well. Little bit of potential divergence here on the daily, which would add a little bit of weight to that, but again, we'll have to wait and see. Price is not there yet, so we're keeping an eye on it. What I said, I think last week, and what I've said to the guys in our trading room is a decent close below these lows would increase the probability of these lows being retested. So as you can see, I've actually got an alert on that one. So that's one of our possible trades. In terms of live trades, I've got a live trade running here on Aussie yen. I've talked about this a couple of times in these sessions. Been in this for a while now, been sitting in this since this area up here. So the trade was initiated up here. You can see at the moment I'm looking for a retest of these lows. So very, very close to target. I think if we take yesterday's lows out and the lows from slightly earlier, if you go back to last week, if we take those lows out, then there's a very high chance we will hit target on that one. Unlike the other strategy, this is a 2-to-1 strategy rather than the other one, which is a 3-to-1. So the possible setup on US dollar CAD, if that's set up, it would be a 3-to-1 target. This strategy is optimized to a 2-to-1, so it's a slightly different play. All right, that is it from me. We will be back. I'll be doing another video answering a few questions that have come in, but I will try and keep these midweek market reviews and live trade reviews regular. So if you're looking for another one of these, it will probably be next Wednesday that I do that, and I'll be back to you before then. So trade safe, and I'll catch up with you soon.